We put our rocker slider on there, we got that clamped on, and we kind of finished up all our work on the exterior here where we ground down the weld and we put some of that high heat paint on there all the way down. So this portion out here looks pretty good. And again, what we're doing is we're continuing to work on this front receiver under here. Now when we get under here, what we've done is we took our cardboard and we made our templates and we welded this plate on the front and we welded the bottom. We just tacked that on there, so we just basically got a 90-degree to work off of. And then we got our magnets holding this in place here, and then we've got our levels to make sure that this is level and then the other side is level. But we're not splitting hairs here, but we're gonna get it in the ballpark, you know, as close as we can. And we got everything set in here. We also got our stub set in here too. Additionally, what we did was we cut a recess in here so that our stub will rest up against there. If you can see, I've got a line mark there. That's where it stops. So as we set that in there, that's where our line is, and that's going to be our reference point for when we put our template inside here and drill our holes so that we can weld our nuts in place. What we see up here is we've got enough clearance in here so that there's clearance for the top of the stub to the floor, and then we're going to have clearance from side to side as well. A little bit of an improvement from the other side. We have clearance on the other side, but we've made more clearance for this side here as we're constructing things together. We've also got our plates bolted on here as well on both sides. If we take a look on this side, that's where we've got this bolted on, and what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up tack welding this to that. We're going to make sure that this is vertically plumb here. We can get our plates like this, and then we can set them up here, and we can also tack weld and pilot drill those things as well. But right now we just have the fitment of all this piece going on here. We've got our level there. And we have our level here. And we're just going to tweak things, get it all fitting, and then we're going to start tack welding some metal together. So we've got this bolted into place here with this flange and this flange here. We've tacked it onto the plate, and now we can take this off. And what we're going to do next is we're going to find out where we want these side holes here. So the way I planned it out was you'd go into the wheel wells to bolt it and unbolt it. Gives you some more working room there. And what we'll do is we'll have our stub inside here. It'll probably go up to here and around. And then I've got a line mark there, and then I got a template that I'll use to locate those holes. And I'll use the template on this, and then I'll use it on the stub. After that, we'll weld the nuts on the stub, line everything up, and then we can have the stub bolted onto the side of here. Once we've done that, we can start using some scrap metal to create some shims on the other side for our clearance. And then we'll use the cardboard to have this side shape it over on the other side there. Here on the other side, we have our bar that's bolted on here. And then we'll use our cardboard to find out what we need for our material in here. We'll have our stub in here. We'll have that bolted to the other side, and then we'll just use some scrap metal in here to create some clearance when we put this plate on this side. The difference with this side is what I've done is I've left this alone, and then when we construct this, then that's when I'll line these plates up here to where they want to be, and then we'll weld them in place. Whereas before I kind of constructed everything and then I tried to have the metal line up, and this is a little easier, a little faster, and I think a little better method. We started off with our cardboard template here that we used to figure out what shape and size we needed the metal. Then we cut that out, we fit that in there, and what we would do is I got some plates in there for some shims, and then what we'd do is we would clamp it on both sides here and here to hold it in place, and then we would tack it up here and down below. But we got a little foreplay before we get to the main event here, because when we take this out, you can see the plates that I've got in here. This is just some scrap metal that I've put in here to get my shimming, so I got where I need it to be for when we clamp it together for the welding. But as we remove this stuff out of the way, what we need to do is we need to take that off as it is right now, so we can get in there, because this is our line. And that's where we need to put our template. Needs to fit inside here so that we can accurately drill our holes to bolt our stub piece that's going to go in here. So even though we'd like to get this all welded up and finished and everything, we got to do this process first. We've got our stub drilled and bolted into place here. You can see how it sticks out past just a little bit. That's where it's gonna line up with the rocker slider portion there. Here's that template we used, and pay no attention to top, because this is the same profile and design that I've used up there in the front bumper. Right up here in the front bumper is where I got that plate from. I try to use the same configuration for everything. So again, that is basically labeled for the front bumper, but in this case, this is the way that we've put it on here. So what we did was we took our template and we put it on the bottom here, and then we marked our holes, and then we drilled them out from the opposite side, and then we made sure that everything was lined up, and then we lined it up with this stub here as well, and we did the same thing. Here it is there. And then when we put that in there, we made sure that we had it in there and keep track of how it lines up to both different pieces there. Here's our front receiver all welded. We tacked it in place as we're constructing it. Fits real good. Everything's good now. We've got our stub in here that's bolted in. We've got our spacer material in there. We have this all ready to go. So when we put our 2x4 on here, we can tack the bottom of this to locate it to the 2x4 and then finish weld it. And what we'll end up doing is the same in the back here. There is no shim in there right now, but we will do the same thing. We'll put our spacer piece in just to give us a little clearance when we're pulling it out and put it in, and then we'll do the same. We'll tack it down near the bottom here. We put our rocker slider on the side here, and we just got it loosely clamped with that clamp and then the vice grips, just to hold it kind of snug into the angle iron. We don't want it tight, we just want it kind of snug in there, so that when we go to put it back in, it's going to go in nice. Grab the spots you can grab to weld that. In all honesty, maybe what I should have done was put the stubs in first and tack welded them before I drilled those holes. But I felt that when I drilled the holes to the side, that would have been the easier way to do that. But what ended up happening was one of the gaps is a little larger than what I like, but it is what it is, and you don't know till after the fact. But if we ever do it again, maybe what we'd do is leave some more material on the stub ends so that they could be trimmed down and rest nice up against the rocker slider there. Before we unbolt this so we can do our seam welding on this thing, we just got this angle finder here, and we just grabbed the same angle off the other side and marked that on the back, and again over there on the front, so that when we remove this, we can also cut that angle on both front and back, and then we just have to cap the ends. We've welded the stubs on the rocker slider here. We've trimmed the ends. We'll slide it into our receivers and see how it fits. It slid in real good, but I admittedly had to put that clamp on there and then lift on the handle to kind of like tweak it, so the third bolt would go in both the front and the back. But other than that, it goes in, comes out real good because we've got that clearance in there. There's our profile for the front, and there's the profile for the back there. All said and done, I think it's turned out not bad. We still got to put the caps on the ends, and there's a few other little things that we got to do. We still got to fill in this gap in here. I have sprayed the inside with that high heat paint, so we're good to go. We just got to make our templates there and fill this gap in. And we also have a few holes here that we got to fix on the back here.